What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday. Man, time is just going crazy fast right now with everything that's going on. Welcome to the members only Q&A. We did it, everybody. We hit 500 members on the channel. That is due to you guys. You're the absolute best. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for having us hit 500 members. That is unbelievable and amazing. Like, just even thinking like this is like almost, I know it's a little bit cheaper than this now. Netflix is definitely going up, but like there's this like Netflix subscription-ish thing that we have here. And like 500 people are like, yeah, let's sign up to the Andy Herman Netflix. And like, it's still so surreal. And there's definitely imposter syndrome from time to time and everything like that. But you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for coming up clutch and getting us to 500 members. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for making Pack a Day part of your lives and your daily routines. It goes a long way, and I cannot thank you guys enough. But enough about that. I know you guys want to hear some Green Bay Packers talk. It looks like we've already got some awesome questions in the chat, and Donald Lee coming in right away with a $50 super chat. Donald, my goodness, making a good day even better, and just a great day. That is unbelievable, my friend. So thank you so much for that. We'll start off with your question, since you were kind enough and nice enough out of the generosity of your heart to do that. Hi, Andy. Why do people think they can win a Super Bowl with the defense still allowing 5 yards per carry and Sean Ryan allowing career days for journeymen like Settle and Zach Tom? Seems too small for right tackle. Not only we're in a good mood here. We don't need negative questions here. I'm just kidding. I appreciate the question. So I definitely disagree with pieces of this, though. I actually think Sean Ryan is playing really, really good football. He was on my highest graded player this week. He was last week. He was not the week before that. He was my lowest graded player the week before that. But then the 2 weeks before that, he was in my highest graded player on offense. So for the past 5 weeks, he was on one of my top 3 highest graded players on offense. So I really, really like how Sean Ryan is playing right now. And he did give up one really bad pressure this week. There was definitely that on tape. You can go and see it. But outside of that one play, I thought he had a very, very nice day. And I really like where Sean Ryan is at right now. So I have no concerns there. I don't care if Zach Tom is 3'1" or 7'7". If he continues to do what he is doing at right tackle, man, this is the ultimate size don't matter conversation. He's awesome. Like we have no complaints whatsoever with Zach Tom in this household. Like he is fantastic. I would want that guy at right tackle. There are maybe a very, very, very select few that I would potentially consider as upgrades over Zach Tom at right tackle. He's freaking awesome. And I do think I don't have him graded quite to the level that maybe like people are considering all pro and things like that. But I think he's having a really nice season. He's basically set it and forget it over at right tackle, and he's doing a great job. So no concerns with that. Do they need to get the, yards per carry down a little bit? Yeah, they do. Let's look at this though. I'm intrigued by this because I think there's maybe some, well, let's see where we're at. Let's go to our Packers stuff here. All right. So let's go week 1 against Philly. All right. They play one of the best running backs in football in Saquon Barkley. He goes 24 for 109, 4.5 yards per carry. Jalen Hurts goes 13 for 33. Kenneth Gainwell goes 1 for 2, 3.8 yards per carry. But Saquon, one of the best running backs in the game where Philadelphia led and could continue to stay balanced, 24 for 109. Not catastrophic. A long of 34 yards. You'd like to cut that out, but you can somewhat live with that. You'd like to cut that down just a little bit. Indianapolis Colts, they've placed Jonathan Taylor the very next week. Now, he had a great average in that game, 12 carries, 103 yards. They limited his amount of carries because they were winning, but that was one where you definitely were not good enough in run defense. That was one absolutely needed to be better. But again, one of the better running backs in all of football. The next week, they go against Tony Pollard. He goes 6 for 14. Tyjae Spears goes 2 for 7. They have 8 carries for 21 yards from their running back. That's a very good performance. Minnesota, give me 1 second here. I don't think Jones did much, right? Maybe he did a little bit. Aaron Jones, 22 for 93, 4.2 yards per carry. You can live with that. Ty Chandler, their second string running back, was 3 for 5. So 25 carries, 98 yards, less than 4 yards per carry, a long of 17. You can definitely live with that performance from a run defense standpoint. The Rams, I think Kyron Williams had a nice day, but again, they're facing a who's who of running backs so far. 22 carries, 102 yards for Kyron Williams, 5 for 25 for Corum. So right around 5 yards per carry overall, 1 touchdown, long of 30. Not great, but I would argue once again, not catastrophic in any way. James Conner, they did a great job against, another really good running back. James Conner was 7 for 24, 3.4 yards per carry. Trey Benson, their backup, was 5 for 26. DeMercado was 4 for 25. So Take the Kyler Murray runs away. They're 16 for 49, 16, 75, 16 for 75. It's not a great average, but a long of 20, take that 120-yard run away and you're not feeling brutal from it. Don't think it was a major issue there. And then this one was probably one where, yes, Mixon had a very good day, 25 for 115, still 4.6 yards per carry. Ogunbowale was 1 for 6. Damian Pierce was 2 for 2, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 32-yard long. But when you pair that with a performance of 55 net passing yards, you're willing to allow Mixon to have a little bit. This is the NFL. To some extent, you have to pick your poison. You're not going to be able to stop everything. So I would argue, first of all, the depth of running backs that Green Bay's gone against, right? Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, Kyron Williams, James Conner, Joe Mixon, that is a really good string of running backs that they've played against. And they haven't given up a 150-yard game or a 3-touchdown game. They haven't been we haven't seen a San Francisco game from the playoffs years back where San Francisco could just hand the ball off every single time. They've contained the mobile quarterbacks, right? Kyler Murray, Anthony Richardson, Jalen Hurts. They haven't allowed those guys to go off running the football. So can it be better? Yes. Do I think it's this catastrophic issue that they can't win the Super Bowl because of? No, absolutely not. So I absolutely think Green Bay is a Super Bowl contender. I've said I think they're one of 8 teams, and they just beat one of the other teams that I thought is in that conversation as well, in the Houston Texans. So for those of you who are wondering, Bills, Texans, Ravens, Chiefs in the AFC, Vikings, Lions, Packers. I put 49ers. I don't even know if I can put the 49ers in there anymore. I probably wouldn't. With Ayuk's injury and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't. So either I need to cut that to 7 teams or I need to find a different 8th team. Let's see. Do I want to add an 8th team in there or do I want to change it out? I don't think I want to. I think this is 7 teams. I think they're one of 7 teams now. Screw it. Bills, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Packers. I think those are your 7 teams that can win a Super Bowl legitimately. And there'll probably be some team over time that maybe, steps up in a major way. But if you could give me those 7 teams or the field, I will take those 7 teams gladly. And I very much think Green Bay's in that conversation. But appreciate the super chat. You are the absolute best, Donald. Thanks a ton. Todd, if Sean Ryan and Josh Myers continue playing at the level they're playing at, do you think they get a second contract this offseason from the Packers? I'm going to say no on both, but let's break this down a little bit. Josh Myers is a unrestricted free agent this offseason. Do I think they could bring him back? Yes. But let's think about it this way. John Runyon Jr. last year got $10 million per year. Lloyd Cushenberry, who I would say is probably in the similar vein to a Josh Myers, he got, I want to say $13 per year. Give me 1 second. He went to Texans. He got 4 years, $50 million. So about $13 million per, a little bit like $12 million, $12.5 million per year. So $12.5 million per year. My guess is Josh Myers is somewhere between I would guess he gets a 3-year, $35 million deal would be my guess. That'd be my guess for a Josh Myers deal right now. And could Green Bay do it? Sure. But when you have 4 potential players who could fill that spot, meaning Elton Jenkins, meaning Jacob Monk, meaning Zach Tom, and who am I forgetting? Oh, Sean Ryan. All 4 of those players can play center. I think they probably just go in-house and say, yeah, we could pay that, but we can also just fill it in-house and still have the depth. I think next year's starting lineup will be Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan, Elton Jenkins, Jordan Morgan, and Zach Tom left to right. And then I think Jacob Monk will step up as the top interior offensive lineman. They'll have Kadeem Telford as a backup on the outside that they continue to develop. And I think you'll see them go out and get a couple players in the draft, probably maybe 3rd, 5th, 6th round, 2 or 3 guys in that sort of range, and just kind of start building up that depth again. That would be my guess at that spot. As far as Sean Ryan goes, if Sean Ryan continues to play at this level, I very much expect him to get a contract extension at some point in Green Bay, but he's not an unrestricted free agent next year. So he and Rasheed Walker and Zach Tom are all from the same draft class. And that will be a very interesting discussion a couple of years from now. Zach Tom could get one this offseason. I could see them just getting him wrapped up and signing to an extension. But my guess is Rasheed Walker and Sean Ryan have to go through next year. And then maybe at some point next year, they start looking at it. But Zach Tom will be their priority. And Ryan and Walker will have to probably prove themselves a little bit more for the remainder of 2024 and in 2025. Good question, though. Kevin, Green Bay's defense against Houston on Sunday, that felt like a prime Minnesota, prime Zimmer defense. I'm assuming you mean Brian Flores. Zimmer's in Dallas now, but if you want to go back to prime Zimmer back in the days like that, we could do that as well. And I'm definitely starting to lose hope on LVN. Not much technique arsenal to his game. Yeah, it's been tough for LVN. This was a tough one. I will go back to your first part. Yes, I thought this was a really impressive game from Jeff Hafley in the defense and how they were able to bring a variety of different looks and blitzes and just cause chaos and confusion. And chaos and confusion are a very good ally on defense. Like, as an offense, you want consistency and rhythm, right? On defense, you want chaos and confusion. And they brought chaos and confusion in a large quantity this past week against Houston. So that was awesome to see. As far as LVN, there are two different sides here. I do think as a run defender, he's giving very good effort. And I think he is setting the edge well. I think he's holding up at the point of attack. I think he's a pretty solid run defender at this point. Now, you didn't spend the 13th pick, was it 13th pick, right around there in the draft for a pretty solid run defender, right? You wanted an impact player. You wanted somebody who could get after the quarterback. He's a good effort player. He can clean up after plays, meaning if somebody else causes the chaos, he can come around and loop in and clean up some of those sacks. He's a great athlete. We know that if he's having to chase somebody down in the open field, he can do that. He has no pass rush plan right now. I could put a clip together if people wanted it on Twitter of just him going into the tackle, going into the tackle, going into the tackle, going into the tackle. And you got to figure out something. Got to figure it out to make it so that it's more dynamic. And it's just not there right now. Now, we are still very early. We're early, not very early. We're still early. We're not a year and a half into his career. All right. So we are 17 games and 7 games or 24 games into his career, a little bit more with the playoffs, but 24 regular season games into his career. Still early-ish, but you would like to see development. And that's where I haven't seen anything from year 1 to year 2 to be like, look at that. He's doing that better. And that's where my concern lies in, because we know the talent's there. We know that he is a freak athlete. We know that he gives good effort, solid run defender, but I need to see growth. And even with Rashawn Gary, if we want to use that same trajectory, right? We saw growth from year 1 to year 2. There was a legitimate, you could point to and be like, oh yeah, that's different. We haven't seen that with LVN. So that's where my concern lies. I'm not saying he can't get there. I'm not saying he can't continue to get better. I'm not saying he couldn't even be an impact player by the end of this year. I think there are ways that we have seen that happen in the past, but right now we're just not even seeing those incremental signs of growth. And that is, I think, somewhat concerning at this point. Sammy Voss, still feel like they need to go back to the play style when Willis was in at quarterback, up the passing game a bit, but this offense runs so much better off of play action. Yeah, I think, they tried to get that going a little bit earlier in the game. We saw some of the orbit stuff and into a counter. We saw a little bit of the pivot where they're faking it on the end around and then coming back and handing it off on the inside. We saw some stuff. We saw the end arounds, the reverses. That all sounds good. There isn't a offensive coordinator in the world that wouldn't love to just run the ball and get 4 or 5 yards every play, right? You have to be able to show the ability to do that early in games. And outside of that Colts game, and even once you got to the second half of the Colts game, like they had kind of figured it out in the second half. So, you're going to have to continue to show that you can run it successfully before you can get into all of the, being able to stick with the run and going under center and doing a bunch of play action stuff. Also, what I do trust Matt on, and I do think there is some paralysis by analysis sometimes. Every game, he will say it. He says it very often. Every game is different. And sometimes he goes in with a game plan that's going to be very run and play action heavy. And yeah, those games often work well, but a lot of times he's doing that because he's going against teams that are susceptible to the run and play action. There are other teams, and I would put Houston in that category, that running right up the middle and trying a bunch of play action doesn't work the greatest. If you're going to do play action and turn your back to the quarterback, you just got to know Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter might be right there when you turn back around. So you have to have the right matchups, the right personnel, the right game plan, and you got to show the ability to run the football. I know that's a little bit of a misnomer, that technically you can run play action without having the ability to run the ball, and there's no real difference as to whether or not you've actually had success running the ball before it statistically. But either way, that's usually when you're seeing it kind of at its best, when you're marrying the two together. And sometimes it works that way and sometimes it doesn't. But every coach would love to do that. In every single game, go run heavy and play action heavy. You have to be careful dependent upon the opponent you're going against. And, it's not that easy because other teams are trying to the defenses are trying to shut that down. They don't want you to run. They don't want you to go play action. They want to make you predictable. And that's what they're trying to stop. So same with Green Bay. They're trying to stop you from getting those sort of looks. But I think they would love to see a little bit more of that. I would love to see a little bit more than that. And I think as the year goes on, we will see more successful run game, and I think we'll see more play action off of it. B Brown, what's up, Andy? Do you think I saw you up at 3 a.m, by the way, this morning? So you need to get some. You and I both need to get some rest. B Brown, what's up, Andy? Do you think Rashawn Gary in the pass rush is starting to heat up? Not quite there yet. I thought that my three lowest graded players on defense were all defensive ends, right? LVN, Enigbari, Preston Smith. Didn't see a ton of pass rush from Kenny, Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden, certainly not TJ Slayton. So when you talk about having a dynamic pass rush, and when you talk about the pass rush heating up, you're seeing guys win one-on-one matchups. You're seeing Rashawn Gary go against a good offensive tackle and just beat him. Preston Smith go up against an offensive tackle and beat him. Kenny Clark go up against a guard and just beat him, right? That's when you have a great pass rush. That's not what I saw in this game. I saw Jeff Hafley do a tremendous job of getting free rushers. Excuse me. I saw Jeff Hafley do a great job of bringing extra bodies to make it feel like, and just getting guys there right away, like up the middle with linebackers like Eric Wilson, getting Xavier McKinney untouched off the edge. I saw unbelievable game plan by Jeff Hafley. Even there were plays, by the way, like Enigbari had, I want to say 2 plays where he came off the edge untouched, and like I don't even think barely got a hand on the quarterback. Rashawn Gary had a couple opportunities actually where, based on the look that he got and coming in untouched, I would have liked to have seen him finish a couple more of those. I thought he had some more advantageous opportunities that, again, I'd like to see him get the quarterback on the ground, but I didn't see a bunch of defensive linemen just winning their one-on-one matchups. I saw Jeff Hafley with an awesome game plan, which is great. I will take Jeff Hafley off an awesome game plan. That works. I'm cool with that, but you can't just rely upon that. There are going to be offenses that have an awesome game plan against you. And when that happens, you got to have your guys win one-on-one up front. So I'm not quite there yet to say, yep, problem solved, we're good to go. Those guys need to win their one-on-ones more often. But I am encouraged by the fact where if this was last year, it's probably just a game Green Bay loses because they're not going to get pressure with their front four. And you're just going to let CJ Stroud pick you apart, dink and dive, and do everything he can. And you're going to lose that game. But instead, Jeff Hafley said, no, I got you guys. I know we're having a little bit of trouble getting off our blocks right now. So I'll take this under my own, and we'll get after the quarterback, and we'll get their pressures and our sacks, and we're going to make life a living hell for CJ Stroud. And that's exactly what he did. So defense heating up, yes. Pass rush, not quite there yet. Do you think Kraft's success puts Musgrave in potential trade territory? No chance. I mean, first of all, you spent a 2nd-round pick on him, right? So as a team, you never want to get into the, trading for pennies on the dollar, or, trade him at a low point. To be a low point to trade Luke Musgrave. What team is going to look at Luke Musgrave and say, well, he was hurt last year, didn't do a whole heck of a lot, is now hurt this year, he's hurt right now, and is your number 2 tight end? Yeah, I'm sure some team would be like, yeah, we'll give you like a 5th-round pick or something, but you'd be trading them for way less than what you spent on them in the first place. And I think Green Bay still feels like they have a really, really good tight end in Luke Musgrave that they just got to figure out a way to get him healthy and then kind of unlock a little bit. But I think he'll have more value to Green Bay than he will to other teams. And I think they're going to want those 2 tight end sets to work. So no, I don't see Musgrave going anywhere, and certainly not right now where, again, you'd kind of be trading him for pennies on the dollar and certainly would not get your investment back for what you've put into him so far. Will the Packers-Lions game get moved to primetime? It was not moved to primetime. So how this works is the NFL, first of all, considers that 325 game, like they're, whoever has it, CBS or Fox, like that's their like game of the week. Like they consider that a primetime game. Like that's almost like the creme de la creme of games. I get Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, like those go, like primetime games are but if you actually look at which one like the NFL like considers like kind of their crown jewel, it's actually the premium game at 325. So Packers Lions is going to stay at 325. We already know that, but that's why it's staying at 325, because that's like the crown jewel game, and that's going to stay right where it is. So usually when you see games get moved and flexed into primetime, it's usually a lot of times not that premium 325 game. Now you may see a different game get moved into that if that 325 game's not good, but usually you will see a different game like in the noon slate that all of a sudden is really good get moved into one of those other ones. But usually the 325 premium game will not get moved into Sunday Night Football or anything like that. So no, that one will stay in that spot. And we know it for sure. They've already announced that. Most improved position group, safety or Packers special teams? Easy, safety. Special teams is by far and away still not completely solved. And we saw that this past week with the punt returning. So, and we don't know enough about kicker yet. It's still too much of a small sample size to say that is completely solved at this point. So I will have to go very easily safety at this point. But I love the way that Whalen is punting. I love the way Whalen's punting. I'll put it that way. And I'm confident, hopefully, in McManus moving forward, that he's going to make his kicks and his clutch opportunities. And then, Keyshawn Nixon, still very good kick returner. They just got to kind of figure out punt return. It's kind of the one that's holding them back a little bit right now. I agree, Most State of Minnesota, and he really did come in clutch. I enjoy that Wilson caught a check down, made a guy miss, and then forced himself to a first down. Yeah, it was a really fun play. I've been talking about it, guys. I really like Emmanuel Wilson. I really think there's something there. Again, I'm not saying he's going to be a top 10, top 15 running back in this league, but I think you could have him as a starter and feel very, very comfortable with it, the way he's playing right now. All around, catching the ball in the backfield, making guys miss, power running, playing behind his pads, blitz pickups. It's kind of all right there right now. Forgive my can opening here for a second. Cheers, friends. Big Coke Zero guy. Free advertising for you, Coke Zero. We went over that already, Donald. I'm also mad about Flex decision for week 9. How is that not Green Bay Detroit? We just went over that, Ben. Is Jags matchup a trap game, or do we bulldoze them into an early offseason? So this is an interesting one. Green Bay is just very clearly the better team here. I don't think 4.5 or 5 points is like massively disrespectful. You get 3 points for being on the road usually. So they're saying Green Bay is like 8 points better than Jacksonville, 7.5, 8. I don't think that that's like that crazy disrespectful. Jacksonville's coming back from a 2-week trip overseas and playing a game. So we'll see how they manage that. Green Bay has this sort of trap game where Houston's a massive game, right after Detroit's a massive game, and then you have your bye, right? So Jacksonville is sort of the easy one to overlook. I will bet that Matt has them ready and prepared and not overlooking that game. But Green Bay has also not usually played well in Jacksonville. Remember that game they played against New Orleans to start the season in Jacksonville? That did not go well. Now they've picked up some wins in Jacksonville, but they've kind of been, the more ugly type wins. Whatever it is, I think Green Bay comes away with a win, whether it's by 3 points or 30, whatever. Just come away with the win, and I'm pretty cool with it. I'm not going to care all that much, to be honest, because it is a little bit of that little trap game in between those two big ones. But I think they'll come away with the win. I think that's the most important thing. And my guess is this leads more towards like I think right around there. I think like a 5 or 6 point Packers victory. Like I could see, I don't know what makes sense. Maybe like 27, 20, 24, 20. Like that sounds about right. Like 20, I think like maybe like 20, I'll say 26, 20, somewhere right in that range. I think that seems totally fair, totally reasonable. I think Vegas is kind of right on the mark on this one. We got to come into this week with the same mindset. Don't sleep on the Jags and take care of business. Totally agree. And I guarantee Matt LaFleur will be preaching that to a large extent as well. Texans kicked off to Nixon a few times. So you think the league made a point about too many touchbacks at the owners' meetings? Nah, I don't think they did anything like that. I think the Texans decided they were going to kick to him and weren't going to be afraid of him, but I bet it goes right back to mostly him getting touchbacks from here on out would be my guess. So I don't think there's going to be anything from the league from a, kicking it off standpoint. If the league wants to make a change, they need to make a change to the rules, because the rules right now are basically showing we're going to kick it to the end zone and you are going to get it at the 30. And maybe the league's okay with that, but if they want it changed, then they need to change the rules on it. All right, Jimmy, we've talked about this a ton, but I will go over it again. If the Packers make a trade, what position do you think they target? We'll go through it one more time just because it's tough to pin down, right? It's not going to be a quarterback. It's not going to be a running back. They got a full stable of running backs and Marshawn Lloyd's coming back. It's not going to be a wide receiver. They got a full stable of wide receivers. Tight end, it's not going to be unless they figure out that like Musgrave's out for the year or something, in which case could they maybe pick up a solid number 2 tight end? Sure. But I also trust Ben Sims, and they just got the new guy, John Fitzpatrick from Atlanta. So I don't really see it being that. And I expect Musgrave back at some point. So don't think it's going to be tight end. I think they have the pieces and the depth that they need at the offensive line, and teams rarely trade away offensive linemen anyway. So don't think it's going to be that. On the interior of the defensive line, you've got 5 guys there already. You're going to be getting Devontae Wyatt back. You have already like the playing time filled for those spots. Don't think it's going to be that. Edge rusher. Again, you've got 6 guys at edge, including 4 guys that you're pretty invested in LVN, Enigbari, Preston Smith, and Rashawn Gary. I don't think they go after that. Now, linebacker, if there was something with Quay where like, but it's a concussion, he should be back in a week, either this week or the following week. So you have that. Edgerrin Cooper is coming on strong. Eric Wilson's playing well. McDuffie's playing solid, and you can't even get your 3rd round pick on the field. So I don't think it's going to be linebacker. Corner's an interesting one. Like I could see them I guess it's probably the right answer is probably corner. But even then, like you've got a bunch of money in Jair. Nixon is not coming off the field right now. Like they love him. So he's not coming off the field. So you're probably not trading a King's ransom for another corner. You still have Eric Stokes and Carrington Valentine who can play outside and have started for you in the past. And you've got Corey Ballantyne who started for you in the past. So it's not like this. And you've got Bullard who can play in the slot. It's not a major need there either. And then safety, you're completely set at with your top three guys where you can't even get those guys on the field enough as it is right now. They just found their kicker. Their punter's great. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a long snapper trade, but corner is probably the answer. But I just don't see Green Bay going ultra aggressive at any of these positions unless there's some sort of injury. And certainly we do not want that to be the case. A couple bad snaps that Tom had were actually the way Love completed his drop. There was one for sure, Ben, where Love dropped way too deep into the backfield. And Tom actually, I didn't, and that's one where I didn't grade in the negative on that play because Tom's getting them to a depth where you should just be able to work them around the bend. And all of a sudden, like, so you're working to the point you're supposed to, and then all of a sudden Jordan Love's there. And it looks really bad on Zach Tom, but Zach Tom really did nothing wrong on that play. So there's one for sure that Zach Tom looks like it probably is credited for a sack, but that one's definitely a little bit more on Jordan. Yes, Wade, Evan Williams is as good as he seems. I'm a huge fan, as I think pretty much everyone is at this point. And really, like, he came in from day one at OTA, or rookie minicamp, I should say, was communicating back there like a veteran. And he's been impressive since day one. He's athletic. He's fearless. He's a good tackler. He's a playmaker. He's a ball hawk. You can play him deep. You can play him in the box. Just a stud, just an absolute stud. Now, I don't know what his ceiling is, right? Like, maybe this is just, you know, first of all, let's say this, all right? If this is Evan Williams, like if this is who he is for his career, he doesn't even take a step, like that's a damn good safety. Like that is he as is, without any improvement from here on out, is a damn good safety. Like that's already a home run 4th round pick, right? In a redraft, he goes in the 1st round. But can he get to another level? Can he be an all-pro? Can he be a 8-time Pro Bowl safety? Like, those are the type of players that you need, right? In order to make that step and win Super Bowls. Like, you need big time players. I think he can be. I don't think there's anything holding him back. I think Adrian Cooper can be as well. So that to me is now the question of, we know he's good. We think he can be great. If he's not great already, how great can he be? And that's where I want to see him. Can he even take another step forward? Because he's still a baby, right? He's only played 7 games. And there probably will be some regression at some point. There will be some mistakes. There will be some learning moments. I don't have any doubt about that. Like, he's not going to have a perfect career, but man, is he playing great football right now. And I am very, very happy that he is a Green Bay Packer. Creeley Golansky, Hafley is the GOAT. What I tell you guys, never too high, never too low, right? We are a week away. If Jacksonville puts up 27 points in this game, or something like that, to everyone being like, see, it was just a mirage. Hafley sucks. We're used to this. And starting interviewing new defensive coordinators and everyone going crazy again. Like, we live in a week by week league. Everyone's flying by the seat of their pants and wants these instant emotions one way or the other. It wasn't that long ago after the Philadelphia game and the Minnesota game when you're down 28-0, where everyone's already saying just same old defense. Doesn't matter who's that coordinator. They suck no matter what. I'm just saying, hey, it's like, let's give it a little bit of time here. Let's see what kind of happens. And now things are going well. And everyone wants to crown him and say he's the best in the world. And like, let's give him a little time here. Like, Jeff Hafley's story will not be written even in this full season, much less through 7 games. What he does at the end of this year and in the playoffs and when it matters most will be what defines Jeff Hafley. And even beyond that, what he does over his entire tenure in Green Bay, however long that may be. And hopefully, you know, if he's getting head coach opportunities, it means he probably had a pretty damn kick-ass defense that he led in Green Bay. And hopefully that resulted in some sort of Super Bowl victory, ideally, right? But let's take it one step at a time. Never too high, never too low. Same with Evan Williams. There's going to be mistakes. So we get very, very excited about all these things. And I'm not trying to be a wet blanket here. I promise you I'm not. I see it every single week. At halftime this past week against Houston, at halftime this week, it was doom and gloom. It was like the world was ending on Twitter, and usually is. I get it. It's social media. I understand. I know the assignment. I'm well aware, but it, like, everyone's panicking. Like, oh my God, this is the worst. And then by the end of the game, it's like, Jeff Hafley's the greatest. Packers are a Super Bowl team. Jordan Love's going to be an MVP. And like, everything's just like the exact opposite. And it's just like, let's let the whole game play out before we get to these crazy reactions. And then, like, even beyond that, like, Just take a breath. Let's absorb all of it. Let's let it breathe just a little bit. Let's not jump to too many conclusions after one good performance. But I get that's what we do. It's Monday morning quarterbacking at its best, and we love to have those reactions. But I will say, to not be a complete wet blanket on this, love the way that Jeff Hafley's coaching. I think he's a fantastic coach overall. I think he's doing a really nice job as defensive coordinator so far. This is a long journey. That one game does not make one way or the other. We're going to have to see where he's at, 2 months from now, a year from now, a year and a half from now, and see how he continues to progress this defense. But it's definitely heading in the right direction. She said, Joey, thank you for the chat. I saw this and it would not happen, but say if the Packers are in for Garrett or Crosby, would they use Malik Willis as a trade piece to get one of those guys, as both of those teams need quarterbacks? No, again, they're not getting either of those guys. And Malik Willis doesn't move the needle for those guys. As much as we loved Malik Willis in those 2 games, right? And he showed like he's going to be in this league for a while as a backup, if nothing else. Nobody's beating down Green Bay's door for Malik Willis. The majority of the think on that will be that was Matt LaFleur. For right or wrong, by the way. For right or wrong, I don't know. Maybe Malik Willis did figure something out. Maybe he can be a good quarterback somewhere. But most people will say, listen, I saw that dude in Tennessee. This is not what it was. Like that's a Matt LaFleur special. And they ran the ball super well. They were unbelievably efficient. Listen, I like what they did, but I'm not going to like mortgage anything based off of what maybe Malik Willis was in a couple games in a Matt LaFleur system against 2 bad teams in Indy and in Tennessee, right? So I honestly think if you auctioned off Malik Willis right now to the rest of the league, I think the highest, and I mean the absolute highest that he goes for is like a 4th round pick. So if you're going to include him, you're now cutting the legs out from under you at backup quarterback, and you're only getting 4th round pick value out of it. Green Bay would rather just probably give up the pick and continue to have a good backup quarterback. So I don't think that would move the needle on the trade one way or the other. And again, they're not getting either of those guys. So good question though. Did the Florida curse leave with Aaron Rodgers? Well, I guess we're about to find out. I mean, Aaron had some big games in Florida too. Some of his, great moments, right? Like the greatest throw that never happened was the one where he got tackled from behind and threw it into, or was that one actually, I'm getting 2 plays confused now. Was that the one that got called back where he got tackled from behind and threw the crazy touchdown? Was it to Devontae in that game? And then was that the one that got called back, or am I transposing 2 plays? That was the one that got called back, right? Somebody help me out on that. But that was an unbelievable, either way, that was like the greatest throw that I've ever seen. And then I think that was the penalty one, right? He's getting dragged from behind. I think it was maybe Bakhtiari got called on a penalty on that one, but he's like completely on the ground and somehow hits Devontae. I think it was Adams in the back of the end zone on like the most perfect pass you've ever seen. Like that was an all-time moment. The play against the Dolphins, was it Corliss or Jermichael Finley on the back shoulder? Was it Corliss? I think maybe on the back shoulder in the right end zone where they came back against the Dolphins at the very end. So not always peachy in Florida. We know that, but there were definitely some good moments, PJ, when so obviously some of you guys are going to have to help me out with my memory a little bit there. I doubt it. She said, Joey, need a solid backup quarterback option. And now we have it. I agree with that. Any chance Bo Melton gets a chance to return punts? Did he do it at all in training camp? I don't think he did it in camp. I don't know how much they trust his pure just hands in that situation. I think kick returner could be something he does, but kick returner is not the issue that they really have right now. So if they haven't done it, my guess is it's probably not something that he's super comfortable with, but I don't know, maybe things change. If the offensive line play keeps up, what do you think they do with Jordan Morgan, where she'd be the odd man out and Morgan would step in there in the next 1 to 2 seasons? Yeah, I still think next year is Rashid, Ryan, Jenkins, Morgan, and Tom left to right. And then I think, after that, you just let things play out and see if they want to give a contract to Walker, they want to give a contract to Sean Ryan. I'm assuming they will give a huge contract to Zach Tom and figuring out the pieces from there. Elton is not getting any younger. He's not that he's to an age where you have to like move on or anything, but they'll have to make decisions with him long-term. So I think for now, you go into the off season, you figure out probably moving on from Josh Myers. You get kind of some of these younger guys up to speed. You probably bring in a couple more draft picks next year to start building up that cupboard a little bit more. But in the meantime, I think they kind of got their guys set for next year. Would you ever consider getting Lil Wayne on the show with him being such a big fan? Hey, if anyone wants to make that happen, I will gladly talk to Lil Wayne and have him on at any time. So if any of you guys want to set that up, just let me know where to sign up and I will gladly have Lil Wayne on. We could even do a rap together. It would probably be awesome for both of our careers. He would get a huge rub from being on the Pack a Day podcast. I would probably be the next, I don't know, next great white rapper. I think that's probably in play here. So I think only good things could come out of this very, very clearly. In regards to Sammy Voss's comments, another aspect of that is that Houston's defense is very sound. So getting into some of the special run stuff isn't as effective. Houston's defense was awesome in this game. They were awesome, legitimately really, really good. Credit to D'Amico Ryans. He was a step ahead of Matt on the day. And Matt knew it too. He's like, they kicked our ass. And he said it flat out, right? The first thing he said in the press conference is like, they kicked our ass, and they did. It was awesome. And still Green Bay put up 24 points and got the win in the game winning drive. So they kicked their ass to some extent, but Houston defense came ready to play. And they were, like I said, a half step ahead of Green Bay for the vast majority of that game. What does Jordan Morgan's future look like on this team? I think he just ends up being a starting guard for a while. Now, I think what ceiling he reaches is up to him. And I think he's got a ways to go to be that solid, consistent guard. But, that stuff comes with time. He's going to get more reps. And I'm hopeful that by next year, he just looks like a really sound starting, probably right guard for the Packers, and hopefully can be that for the foreseeable future. What is the work week like for players during the season? Do they have basically a 6-day work week? Thanks to you and all the Pack-A-Day gang for such great content. Greg, you are more than welcome. Yeah, it's crazy. And I couldn't say this like 1,000,000% for sure. They have their own like itineraries and stuff, but usually Monday is more of like an off day and like a rehab day. Like Monday's meeting day and tape day and meeting with your coaches and everything like that. Tuesday's their rehab/off day. Wednesday is practice and then a bunch of meetings, walkthroughs, playbook, film work, everything like that. And then rehab and stuff like that. Thursday, same thing. Friday, same thing. And then Saturday, they usually have some sort of walkthrough or the travel and then a walkthrough. And then Sunday is usually game day. So something to that extent. And then there's other stuff that obviously goes along with that. And some of the players will have meetings with media, meaning like the film or like the TV crews that are coming in for the week and like certain PR events and stuff like that. But, locker room availabilities, all that sort of stuff. But that's kind of what the week looks like. You guys are coming in hot with the questions. I guess that's what happens when we've got 500 members. What attributes make small players like Tyler Ervin and Jaden Reed good at running the ball and doing Swiss Army knife type of stuff? Tyler Ervin, that's a great pull. It's not necessarily just because they're small, but everything has advantages and disadvantages, right? So, with Jaden Reed, for example, he's great. He's got a great low center of gravity. He runs low to the ground. There's less surface area, so there's less opportunity to kind of grab a hold of somebody or go low on them. Generally, the smaller and compactor you are, a little bit more agile you can be. It's not always the case. Some big guys are super agile. Some small guys are not agile at all, but it can definitely be that way. A little bit more compact. So when you see somebody like in that Philadelphia Eagles game on the reverse to Reed, where they try to make the tackle on him, I think it was Zach Bond, where he tries to make the tackle and he just slips right off him. It's because, again, he's built and he's got that low center of gravity. He's very compact. So again, I think it's just using your advantages and disadvantages, or using your advantages for you and trying to mitigate your disadvantages. I think the cool thing about Reed is that he can play like a much bigger wide receiver. He's a good route runner. He can get off a contact. He's a really good jump ball specialist, especially for his size. So he does some of the things that smaller receivers can't typically do. And the way that smaller receivers usually do need to win, he can do all of those things. So there's a little bit of that as well. But for the most part, whether you're 6'6" or 5'8", if you're in the NFL, you usually have some superpower, right? There's something that you can do incredibly well. Your goal is to play to those strengths and mitigate your weaknesses as much as possible. And Jaden Reed has done a phenomenal job of that. All right, Greg, what is the work? Oh, we went over that. What do you think makes Love special when compared to other quarterbacks? What are his superpowers? I think his demeanor, definitely a superpower. Just never too high, never too low, never afraid, never worried, just the same consistent guy every single play, every single day, every single down, no matter what. You see it in camp, you see it in practice, you see it in game days. It doesn't matter if he's thrown 8 picks or 8 touchdowns or anything in between. Same guy every single play. That was something coming out of college, right? There was the game against, I think it was LSU at Utah State as a junior in his final year. They were just outgunned in every way. There wasn't a receiver who could beat the corner across from them. There wasn't a running back who could beat a linebacker. There wasn't a tight end who could beat a safety. There wasn't an offensive lineman that could beat the opposing defense. They were just outmatched at every position. And Jordan just came out every single play like they were going to go down and march to a 80-yard touchdown drive, and didn't matter what happened. Didn't matter what sort of crappy situation he was in or that his guys couldn't win along with him. he was just coming in, just getting his guys together, going to call the next play and figuring out a way how he could best execute it. And I think that is a huge aspect of his game. Obviously, as big time arm talent, throwing off platform can be a gift and a curse at times. I think he needs to use it less. And if he can get a good base, utilize that good base. But the ability to throw from all platforms off his back foot and put the ball where it needs to be, definitely a special trait. Yeah, I think those are the big ones. And then the big play ad lib ability. That was something that showed up big time in college as well. The ability to make explosive plays at any given moment. That was a special trait of his, and it shows up in the NFL as well. Then I think, Green Bay instilled some superpowers in him as well by allowing him to sit behind a Hall of Fame quarterback for 3 years and learn some of the tricks of the trade from him. Some of the stuff that you're seeing him do from a cadence standpoint, getting 12 guys on the field, getting guys to jump off sides and getting a free play, being able to run the offense, being able to check with the line and get everyone lined up correctly and make audibles and calls. Like, that doesn't happen if he's just coming in from year one. Like, so he had his own superpowers coming in, and Green Bay's helped develop some of those along the way as well. Just FYI, the NFL is milking the Packers in primetime night game slots from Thanksgiving till Christmas. Yes, they very much are, which is a good thing. Have we faced Lawrence since he got into the league? I can't even remember. I'll have to take a look. Let's see here. So Jacksonville, they would have played each other, in 2021? Would it have been? Apparently not. So not 2021. Not 22. They did not play. So it would have been 2019 or 2020, right? 2020. So no, that was Jake Luton was the quarterback the last time they played. So Jake Luton went 18 of 35 for 169 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Aaron Rodgers went 24 of 34, 325, 2 touchdowns and a pick. In a game Green Bay at home against the 1-7 Jacksonville Jaguars only won 24-20 against Jake Luton and company. James Robinson, former Green Bay Packer, ran 23 times for 109 yards. Green Bay's run game could not get going. 25 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers with the rushing touchdown. MVS went 4 for 149 and a touchdown, including a 78-yard reception. DJ Chark led the Jaguars with 4 catches for 56 yards. Keelan Cole had 5 for 47 and a touchdown. Miles Jack had a fumble recovery. Devontae Adams had a fumble lost. Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary each had sacks, while Devon Hamilton had a sack for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sidney Jones had a pick. Adrian Amos had a pick. And Josh Jackson was doing punt returning for Green Bay. Mason Crosby was 4 for 4 on his kicks. And J.K. Scott punted 5 times for 215 yards for a 43-yard average. There is your Packers Jacksonville recap from, what day was this? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was, still don't know that I care. All right. Can't find it, but yeah, a couple years. It was November 15th, 2020. November 15th, 2020. So not a crazy long time ago. Andy Randy was saying most improved Packer safeties are gotcha. My bad. I totally read that wrong. I'll still go safety, but the social team has made a very, very impressive glow up as well. So sorry I misread that one. And thank you for correcting me, Tim. And now we're also set at kicker. Maybe. Hendrickson or Greg Newsome are my only 2 trade targets if they're available. If not, we stand pat. Hendrickson would be very fun. I will absolutely admit to that. If Hafley in the D plateau is you think he'll still make the head coach carousel next year? If Hafley in the D plateau as is, do you think he'll still make the head coach carousel next year? Don't want to lose him. And even if the D gets better, I feel like he might still get a head coach gig. I don't think he gets a head coach gig with where things are at right now. Could he get an interview or 2? Maybe. But I don't think he gets a job next year. I'll be sort of surprised if he gets a head coach job next year, unless they just go on this unbelievable run. Green Bay has a top 3 defense and wins the Super Bowl, something like that. Then yeah, he could get a job. But for right now, where things stand right now, I think maybe an interview or 2, but I would lean towards not getting a job at this point. The all-white uniforms looked amazing on TV. How was it seeing it from the stands? It was fine. It was cool. I say this every time. As long as you stick with the traditional jerseys out of every game but one, You do whatever you want on that other game. Whiteout, throwback, some crazy jersey that I don't care. Have your fun with your marketing stuff the one time a year. Have fun with it. This is a cool version of it. No issues with it. It looked fine. I don't know. I would have probably still preferred the, traditional jerseys, but I have no problem with it either. As long as it's, like I said, one game per year, go do whatever you want with it. I was trying to say as good as the save has been the social media group. Yes. So my bad on not correcting that one. And his rap name can be provolone cheese. That sounds about right. Lil Wayne featuring Pack-a-Deezy. Sign me up for that. Oh, nobody needs to see that. What canon should the Packers learn from last year's Giants game to not get trapped by a weaker opponent like the Jacksonville Jaguars this Sunday? I don't know. Just don't go wet the bed. Like just don't have a crap game. I think they've learned those lessons. I think we're seeing a better overall brand of football from Green Bay. They're not letting their foot off the gas as much, but I mean, it's a long season. You got to figure out ways to stay motivated. It's a young team. They got to know that every week they got to go out and earn it. There's nothing that you take for granted in this league, and that's why every win is important, but we'll see. Hopefully they can go out and not have a very similar Giants-esque performance as they did last year and can go out and just beat Jacksonville when they're clearly the better team. First time in a members-only live, do you think the Packers-Lions game will be flexed Sunday night? We talked about this a little bit already, Matthew, but no, that's been decided already, and those 325 games are considered premium prime games, so no, they'll stay in that slot. Obviously, Jake Luton, obviously, goes without saying. Is there any way to listen to your radio show from overseas? I don't know if you can. I don't know how it works. I know you can download the Odyssey app, and you can listen on thefanmilwaukee.com. I don't know why those wouldn't work overseas, but I can't tell you if they would or wouldn't either. So those would be the two ways I would check: the Odyssey app and then thefanmilwaukee.com. My balls itch. Good to see you. Hindsight is 2020, but looking back on the Rasul Douglas trade, do you still make it if you're Goody? Seems like he would be a good fit in Hafley's defense. He very much would be a great fit in Hafley's defense. I still probably do the trade. Now, I take that back. Hindsight, if I could do everything over and know exactly how things ended up, I probably don't do it. And I think Goody would probably say that as well. But you don't get the benefit of hindsight when you make a deal. And I 1,000,000% understood exactly what Goody was looking at when the deal was made. From Green Bay on a big losing streak to not looking like they were going to compete that year to getting a top 100 draft pick. I know they had to give up a 5th round pick in exchange as well. But to get that top 100 pick, to get off of a salary that was going to help you be able to be more active in free agency, all those things, I knew exactly what he was doing. I probably would have done the exact same thing at the time, but benefit of hindsight being exactly as it is, I probably would keep him. But I will say this, I don't want to butterfly effect anything. Like what happened with Jordan and that team after they traded Rasul away, it probably still happens with Rasul on the team. You have a better player then, but I don't know. Everything worked out as soon as he was gone. I don't think there's a correlation. I want to be clear here. I don't think trading Rasul led to better results, but I kind of don't want to find out. Like everything kind of got better and it continues to get better. So I don't want to mess with it. So that would be another reason why maybe I just stick with the trade as is. Do you think Half would pull a Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn? Maybe. Listen, that's, think about this, right? Jeff Hafley was a head coach. Now, it was in college, and college head coaching is a freaking nightmare. It's why Tony Bennett just retired for Virginia. It's not in a great space at all right now. And you're going to see a lot more college coaches, I think, do this. There's a reason Nick Saban is done. It is a rough gig. So I think that had more to do with wanting to get out of college than wanting to not be a head coach. My guess, if you asked Jeff Hafley, hey, do you want to be a head coach in the NFL? I think you would probably say yes. But I think there's also a point where it would probably have to be the right job for the right reasons. If Jacksonville, for instance, calls up and they say, we want to make you the coach, maybe he just takes it. He probably just takes it. But if I were him, I'd be like, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to wait and see if maybe something better comes along. And I'm cool staying with Green Bay's defensive coordinator if need be. I'll be the head coach of their defense, and I'm fine with that. If, Carolina or, the Patriots or whomever calls and says, we want you as our head, I don't know that I take a bad situation and a bad job just for the sake of taking it. But, could he stay in Green Bay until the right situation comes along? Sure. And maybe he just likes being a D coordinator. I know he loves defense. I know he loves coaching defense. So maybe this is exactly where he wants to be. There's still pressure on the defensive coordinator, no question, but there's still less pressure than being head coach. There's a lot less responsibility. And some guys that is just for them. They don't need to be the guy, but they love being the guy next to the guy. Maybe that's Hafley. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But I wouldn't just automatically chalk it up to, even if he gets offered the job, that he just automatically takes it and says, yep, I'm in. Because he just left the head coaching job. So there's a little bit more nuance to it than that. To be honest, regarding Hafley, would you want to leave D that you've created and is winning? Again, everyone's a little bit different. Most people want the head coaching job, right? They want that full autonomy, but can't say it's the same for everyone. That's for sure. Was this the game that Wicks needed as a confidence builder? I think so. I think this was a really good game from him. Just really clean, crisp, caught everything. Big time touchdown. I think hopefully we see Dontavian take off from here because he's too talented of a player to keep down. As a secondary Buffalo fan, I was happy that Sewell went to another team that I root for. That's fair enough. Okay, I have hated Bama for a long time, but I've become acquainted with Saban through the PMS, and I've learned a lot every time he speaks. Same with Belichick. Yeah, anytime you can hear those two guys talk football, just sit down on the couch, plug yourself in, because you're going to learn a lot. And Hef does seem to be really refreshed in his current position. I totally agree with that as well. All right, friends, I got to get out of here. I got a call coming up at 1:15. Crazy busy day today. Yeah, so we will get the Paul Brettel episode up at some point today. Pack-A-Day Live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Happy hour 4 p.m. on Friday. So keep an eye out for those. Thank you again for helping us hit 500 members. We'll do something to celebrate here. We'll figure something out, but cannot thank you guys enough. We'll be back here next week, of course, for another members Q&A. We should do pregame and postgame show this week, with it being a road game. So keep an eye out for that as well. But enjoy your week, everyone. I will talk to you all very soon. And until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.